Now, let's talk about the leader who's not attending. The Prime Minister of Pakistan. Believe it or not, Pakistan was invited to a democracy summit. And they've chosen to give it a miss. Why is that? Is Imran Khan too busy to attend? Does he admit that Pakistan is not a democracy? Or is there something more at play? Time for a quick psychology lesson. There are two types of people in this world. One, those who get an invite and decide for themselves, either attend or not attend. And two, the type who call up their bossy friends immediately. Should I attend? Should I not? Pakistan is the latter. They cannot decide for themselves. They have to consult their overlords. In this case, it's China. Beijing's reply would have been clear. Don't you dare. We're assuming that's what they said. Joe Biden has not invited China to the summit. We know that. But he has invited Taiwan. So it's not difficult to imagine how this conversation went. Pakistan asked, China said no. Next was the difficult part. How do you break this news? Remember, this is a summit for democracy. How do you explain pulling out of something like this? I'll tell you how Pakistan did it. And I'm quoting. We are thankful to the United States for inviting Pakistan for participation in the Summit of Democracy. We remain in contact with the US on a range of issues and believe that we can engage on this subject at an opportune time in the future. Now we understand. Apparently, now is not a good time. And the story gets more interesting. In Pakistan, this rejection has been given a spin. A brave Islamabad standing up to Washington, D.C., a defiant Imran Khan bunking Biden's lecture on democracy. Truth is, it's none of that. It's a desperate and broke government doing China's bidding, nothing more than that. And Pakistan is only itself to blame. They kept borrowing from China, they kept welcoming Chinese companies, and the bill kept rising. Pakistan owes China around $24.7 billion. That's more than half their total debt. Who will repay this money? Not the government. They're busy renting out the Prime Minister's house, even selling buffaloes. Repaying billions is out of the question. So Pakistan is repaying in kind. Or in this case, by surrendering their foreign policy, by ceding their sovereignty to China. It's like the old restaurant story. You eat out, but you can't repay the bill. So what do? You stay and wash the dishes. It's actually a fake story, but Pakistan is really doing it. And not for the first time. Do you remember the Kuala Lumpur summit in 2019? It was pitched as an alternative to the OIC, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. So Malaysia, Turkey and Iran came together to challenge Saudi Arabia's leadership. Imran Khan was initially supportive. In fact, he was one of the primary invitees to the summit in Malaysia. But at the last minute, he pulled out. Do you know why? Same reason as now, money. In 2018, Saudi Arabia loaned $3 billion to Pakistan plus $3.2 billion in oil credits. Pakistan was struggling to repay this loan, so what did they do? They paid in kind. They surrendered their foreign policy to Saudi Arabia. It's embarrassing, to be honest. Every country has debt. Every country has external debt. But those debts do not guide their foreign policy. So what's different with Pakistan? The amount of debt. By the end of this year, Pakistan's external payments will reach $14 billion. Do you know how much forex their central bank has? 17 billion. So Imran Khan had a clear choice, debt or democracy, and he chose debt. The United States must take note of this rejection. It's a clear message to them. Pakistan is firmly in China's grip. Their sovereignty and their foreign policy are on sale. Just look at their track record. No word on the Uyghur genocide, no criticism of the debt trap, no objection to China's meddling in Afghanistan. What more do you want? This is a mortgaged foreign policy, and if Joe Biden has any self-respect, he will retaliate. In fact, we can tell him how to do that. For starters, don't invite a military fiefdom to a democracy summit. It sends a mixed message. You know, Biden has not spoken one-on-one to Imran Khan, 12 months, no phone call. But he invites Imran Khan for a democracy summit. It's time to make up your mind. Secondly, do you really see Pakistan as a major non-NATO ally? Because that's what the US policy says. This list, by the way, includes countries like Australia, Israel, Japan, New Zealand. Pakistan is completely out of place. It has picked China over the US. It has picked debt over democracy. So the next time you have questions for Islamabad, forward them to Beijing, because that's where the answers come from. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.